A very good afternoon to the audience and also the organizers. Thank you very much for inviting me for this session. It's my pleasure to share what I wanted to share today in the title of Sensor and I. So the Sensor and I is the title of my talk today, and I hope this will give some insights to the participants or the audience today to embark either their career or their business or the entrepreneur adventure in time to come. Right. Sensors expected to bring a profound change in the way many different industries have operated over the last few centuries. But today we are looking at the potential of a Star Trek coming through in our daily life. If you could see lately, there are many exciting videos, YouTubes, many researchers are recently sharing many different things. Like we have Tesla in the market today, where we wouldn't have dreamed to have an electric car walking. And now today in Indonesia, it's a reality where they are offering an electric car, which costs about, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 8,000 ringgit Malaysian, but it's especially for Indonesian market, and that is on the road today. So the global market now which is valued at 139 million in 2017 and projected to reach 288 million by 2025. So that's like a real huge difference in the market share where the census is going to bring in a big business. So researchers believe that in 2025, there will be over 55 billion devices connected to the internet, and some even estimate the number will be much higher than 100 billion. So all these really opening up a huge opportunity for the young people who's going to either embark into their career or business in future. So the sensor market is driven by the rising demand from some of the mushrooming industries such as electronics, automotive, healthcare, and also defense. Besides that, increasing application of sensors in the market and biomedical devices and smart connected devices provide tremendous opportunity for the market growth. Emerging markets across the globe, also present untapped opportunities for diverse kind of sensors. So here now, where the idea of sensing started, or how do we get the idea of sensors can be used, in all these application? It's that's I'm going to share my screen now for that. Just give me 1 minute. Let's look at how the whole idea came about when we talk about sensors. It actually came from the real life sensors from all Earthers. It can be animal, it can be plant, or it can be human being. So well-known 5 basic sensors. It all started with that: the vision, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. So how the above sensors seized animal life. Hunting animals like the cheetah need particularly good eyesight to find their prey. And the night animals often have exceptionally large eyes to maximize the amount they see at night, but also rely heavily on their sense of hearing. Some animals can detect forms of energy invisible to us, like magnetic and electrical fields. Sharks, and as well as skates and rays, detect electric fields using a network of organs. And most sensors are developed reference to human and animal sensing sources. We also have some sensors being developed based on plant sensing behavior. You know that we have the some of the plants, they're able to climb the trees, and how do they actually move about, and all those ideas or the concepts or the physiology and the anatomy of those plants animal has been adapted and looked upon in the sensing design. So when we talk about this, for a particular study that, and I think there's many studies, but one of it, the study has found that dogs actually can recognize human emotions. So how this happened is based on the ability that dogs has in the sensing. So today we are trying to use like EEG sensors and many other sensors to actually tap into human emotions. So these type of idea actually came from what is around us, the nature, and also the behaviors of human being, animal, and plants which is around us. Right. So moving from that, let's look at how homes and sensors are being tapped into today. So when you think about smart home sensors, you probably picture motion sensors, which I think most home has been using it at this point of time. So these are the most common type of sensor and one have been familiar with for decades at this point. Yeah, in the past, they opened doors at the grocery store, turned on hand dryers, and more. Today, they accomplish much more applications in our everyday life. So motion sensors at home can allow for a smart home improvements, how our daily routine make it easy with the presence of the motion sensor, especially in the safety, letting your technology ecosystem know when and where you are in your home, so it will be can tailor the function around you, the way you live, especially in the term of safety and health. Whether are you really, many homes today, we have done a good study on saying that we have huge home, but do we have good oxygen level in each room in that house? Is it safe for everybody to use any room? And finally, we actually have a finding that certain rooms are not suitable for children and adults to stay in a particular house. So in that case, it is actually cause health problem for them. But for the adults, it's not, because mainly because the adults do not spend a lot of time at home. They go to work in the morning and they come back in the evening. Rather, the child and the elderly, they are being at home all the time. So they need a better, circulatory of oxygen in the house. So they need to be placed in the rooms which has a better environment. So this is one of the finding that we have in our recent study in 2019. So with that, other type of sensors like register temperature, humidity, light, sound, and more, making a comprehensive suite of elements that your smart home device can account for and to react to. While the most obvious advantage here is that the convenience, smart homes sensors can add a layer of safety and security at your home, as what I mentioned earlier. So few other technologies can provide the peace of mind that results from knowing exactly what is going on at your home. Or you are at home, you are here in Malaysia, or you are in abroad. This is particularly has been seen as an important aspect for working parents and also parents who actually travel a lot. They would like to take up this technology and ensure the safety of their child when they are not at home. So no matter what smart devices you choose for your own home, you are going to incorporate these sensors of some type. So that's like you have the freedom to do the selection, what you want, what is needed, and do you have enough financial capacity to adapt this. So it is pretty flexible now with the IoT technology, the Internet of Things, and it gives you a lot of room, to actually custom to the needs of your users. Right. From there, now let's move a little bit with this magic device that every one of us are having. So we said from home sensors, now we are moving to sensors that we hold in our hands. Your smartphone is a remarkable feat of engineering. I still remember when I graduated in 1995, we had a handphone which is like a water bottle size that you have today. Huge handphones only used by industry people for certain purpose. But today, the smartphones are in every hands. Even I do look at babies at age of 1 year old or less than a year is holding handphone and enjoying, and you look at the joy at their face. That is a very interesting development in the technology. So it's a half a dozen or more gadgets packed into a single slab, and many of its coolest feeds are accomplished with a wide range of sensors. But What are they and what do they actually do is very interesting to explore. How does your phone count your steps and replace your fitness tracker? Or does GPS use up your data? Many questions are there in the users, Which sensors should you make sure in your next handset? Or here is all you need to know. So that's many different type of question among the smartphone users. So I'm touching at accelerometer. So accelerometers handle axis-based motion sensing and can be found in fitness tracker as well as phones. So they are the reason your handphone can track your steps if you have not bought a separate wearable. So it actually assists you to monitor your fitness activity. Next up is the heart rate sensor that measures heartbeat with the help of LED and the optical sensors. So the LED actually emits light towards the skin, and these smartphone sensor look for the light waves reflected by it, and that is a difference in the light intensity, then there is a pulse. So this is how the detection actually works. So, all right, from the a very handy smartphone, let's move ourselves a little bit to what's happening in the clinics or what's happening in the health industry and the wellness industries. And we touch the big name, biosensors of 21st century. So this biosensors, the history of biosensors dates to early as 1906 when M. Kramer demonstrated that the concentration of an acid in a liquid is proportional to the electric potential that arises between parts of fluid located on opposite sides of a glass membrane. So that is that early biosensor finding. But the first true biosensor was developed by Leland C. Clark Jr. in 1956. This is like after World War II for oxygen detection. He is known as the father of biosensors, and his invention of oxygen electrode bears his name, Clark electrode. So since then, biosensors are like start developed and many other aspects. And biosensors are devices used to detect the presence or the concentration of biological analyte, such as biomolecule or biological structure or a microorganism at that point of time. And the development took part over the years, but the basic of biosensors, they have three parts. A component recognizes the analyte and then produce the signal, and a signal transducer to as a reader device. Those early days, they used to be three separate devices which communicate to each other. But today we see that they even well packaged, and some of the sensors is just like a patch, like what you see in this. It is actually a reality we may not see in our country, but some country like US, patches are already used for biosensing. So biosensors have extensive application, not only in health, they also have huge application in food and agriculture industries. Right. So from what we normally see in home-based use, we move a little bit now to what happens in clinics. Sensors in clinical and diagnostic application. One well-known example is the biosensor in the glucose monitor. Yeah, I think many homes today, they do have a glucose meter at home, which is used as a routine basis by diabetic individuals to check their blood sugar level. But when we are looking at that is already been home. So what is the 21st century is really looking at? So one of recent practically already been in use is ECG sensor. So those days we used to see ECGs only in the hospitals, and you go, they put you on the bed, then they like have to like open up you need to really change for them to place all their 12 lead around your chest and to get the data. But today it made so simple. The technology is ECG mobile and user friendly. It is no more operators dependent for self-monitoring. So ECG self-monitoring is transformed into a smartwatch and smartphone application. How does the electrical activity now can be recorded at your wrist? This is where the sensor technology and the mathematical modeling, by understanding the anatomy and physiology, made it possible. And this is like what we call as modeling, like what I do is cardiovascular modeling. It means I'm doing modeling in vessels, blood system, heart and brain, and what is related to cardiovascular. So we could do many other aspects where we use those information, we translate those information into models that eventually will become a simpler devices. Right. From ECG, now let's look at a robotic hand controlled by EMG sensors. When we talk about EMG sensors, that we're mainly looking upon what is the need, right? So the main drive for this whole concept is the existing shortage of therapies and caregivers assisting physically disabled individuals at home is expected to increase and become serious problem in the near future. So the patient population needing physical rehabilitation of the upper arm extremities also constantly increasing. If you look at the purpose or the images that I have shared here. So robotic devices have the potential to address this problem. However, the availability of this device in clinical setting is limited, leaving plenty of room for improvement. And also the main problem that we have currently for patients to access this is the transportation to go. Sometimes the exercise only takes about 20 minutes for the patient to travel to the hospital and to be engaged into this. The whole process takes about 3 hours. So if this could be brought to their home at a lower cost technology, then that would help them to do it at home, and they can do it more regularly. They can do it every day, 20 minutes every day. That will actually provide them a better treatment outcome. So this is what we are looking at. So EMG as a potential sensor to simulate, measure, and evaluate the rehabilitation service effectiveness. Right. So from there, now we are moving to the brain interface sensor, where we have another amazing, EEG is actually another amazing sensor in the health industry or healthcare industry. EEG is being heavily contributing to the brain activity monitoring, mental health and fitness management, and also neurological diseases such as epilepsy, Parkinson, and dementia. So EEG is expected to be expanding in many other brain or mental diagnostic monitoring and rehabilitation. And we look at the global market for EEG device, which is valued at 500 million in 2012, is expected to reach 1,000 million by end of 2022. So this is like doubling the entire market size. So many different treatments, being brain-based sensing, it's adapting into EEG sensors. So this is again making there's a huge potential for young people to come into either learn those technology or even coming into the research in this sector to get exposed into the needs of the industry. Right. Coming to that current, or which you have seen for the last 1 year, and now it's continuing in the 2021 COVID-19 sensing. So finally, how sensors played and playing its role in the present pandemic COVID-19. Sensors was is a great demand last year, when was the pandemic was announced. From temperature sensor to whatever name it, they were like just crazy. Any sensor that could do the job is accepted. But today, many of the sensors found to be redundant. As such, sensor selection in any solution need to be optimized to ensure the validity and sustainability. It is not that I can do any sensors for any reasons. So sensors validity depends on its accuracy, which reflected its sensitivity and specificity in its output. With that, COVID-19 also initiated many different sensor-based production and service improvements. Social distancing is one of the recent requirements where sensors can play many distinct roles. So currently they are looking at GPS sensors to do the tracking and tracing. But what is more important is, I think the one of the real need currently is I need to know who do I meet every day. Can I have a sensor who can track or can help me know who actually I met on the day, or whenever especially in workplace, where you in schools where you meet a lot of people. So this is an open research which I think have a big potential if someone can really design or come up with an idea how this can be recorded by using some sensors. So with that, I would like to end this talk today with my favorite word, sensor. And sensor is fascinating and amazing. Thank you.